So now if that was impressive, the ability for agencies to train and customize bots on specific validated content is huge. We're just about out of time, but we're going to drop into the comment section some parts of research that can be improved, other parts improving generative AI. The list is not exhausting, but it is a beginning. We're also going to drop in some useful tools we found in other parts of research since we're running out of time. And we'll move on to the last slide here. So again, thanks everyone for joining our session. We're a little bit short on questions, so we're going to do a second supplementary session immediately following this one to allow for Q&A. And also take a look at our a shameless plug of our products, but Mark and Sadaf mentioned the OptiBot, Revelo software, which is an end-to-end content and data management system that incorporates AI accessible for accessibility, and of course our AI tools and acquisitions for market research, and comments for AI for comments processing, and then professional services e-commerce platforms. Let's see here.
We do have some
let's
questions.
see here. We think we can stay on, but we know this was originally scheduled to be a 30-minute session. So if there are any questions, we'll stay on for a second session right on this particular channel. All right. Okay, so we'll stay right here. And let's see here. Were there any questions posted in the comment section?
One question was about how long did it take us how long it'd take us to create and build our own chatbot versus finding the information with the three people. And I think, Sadaf, do you want to address that? Because I think we talked about the time. And again, these were people that use these tools on a daily basis. That I think Sadaf was referring to as our counterfactual. But Sadaf, do you want to address that?
Sure. Thank you, Kelly, for asking that question. The short answer is it took us some time because it was working with tables. And it took us a little under 2 weeks to develop a customized chatbot that could answer really complex questions, like the ones that we showed you that involve counting. Now, one caveat that I will mention is we are still using ChatGPT 3.5 to power our OptiBot, because 4.0, which is available using Bing, which can understand tables quite well, that is not available in an API format. So if we had 4.0, I'm sure we would have been able to train it faster, if that explains.
And I think it's also important to point out the counterfactual. If you look at this more broadly in terms of being able to find information, that you're curious about, because imagine you're a person from the general public or a school principal, out there, outside of the Beltway, and you can just query these chatbots, so of course post training, then you can get valid and reliable responses. And it's, there are, I would call them high barriers to entry to figure out where this information is and in what table, if you're a person that's not doing it on a daily basis. And so our counterfactual in terms of the time that it took us to do is probably not a good counterfactual, because we're doing that literally on a daily basis. And so there's probably more real life counterfactuals that we can come up with to do the comparison as we progress.
Okay, we have some other questions. One question we received right as we were starting this event was, can the bots read a research paper? What is the success rate of GPT-4, not the API version, in reading and synthesizing research papers?
I can address that first. We actually tested it using some of our own research papers, which we knew, exactly what the findings were and how it should be properly synthesized. And in doing that, we found with what we call it the sort of the general and open chat bots, is that it will indicate that it's able to synthesize, but it's not necessarily precise. And that's the problem that was kind of worrisome to us. And so we found it's similar to what Sadaf said in terms of that use case using NCS data. When you're able to define and focus the corpus and do some other training, you're able to then train a customized chatbot to only look at sort of the information, the corpus of information that you're pointing it to. And then eliminating that hallucination that he referred to earlier, and then able to generate a more valid and reliable response.
And we have a question from Edwin. And Sadaf, I'll see if I'll send it to you, but I think I have an answer for it as well. From the discussion, the corpus is finite and defined. Is there an automated approach to updating the information as new data are released?
Thank you, Tracy. That is an excellent question. And I think that was one of our, I think, pretty high up in our next steps, right, Mark? The slide that you covered. We started off small so that it was consumable and we could control it. But then the idea is if we can do this type of table, then we can do all of this type of table. And then we want it to be agnostic to table structure. And as we develop it, definitely we will build in a pipeline such that as new data tables are available and more information is available, that is plugged in and added to the corpus.
And I want to add to that, that's one of the strengths of our Revelo product, that you can take in the information. It goes through a systematic review, because once you start to take in live feeds, you want to make sure you're bringing in data that has been already ground truth, as they call it. And so Revelo is a great tool to transparently do that.
And it's also important to clearly define what your corpus is. Is it defined for, like, say, a program or, sort of a particular federal statistical agency? And, it's important to kind of define that. And then in defining that, you're kind of defining how information is fed in, what information is deemed valid, as Tracy indicated, and at what frequency it's fed into the corpus.
So I think that's the end of our discussion. Thanks for all the great participation, engagement, and questions. And please feel free to reach out to us if you'd like to have us come in and talk to your team and demonstrate what we've done. And we have a next webinar coming up, June 15th, public comments analysis is a big part of research, getting that public feedback. And so we've incorporated AI in a tool to help do that. So we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.